Hello, you're watching Eye on Africa. I'm James Creedon. These are our headlines from across the continent this evening. Djibouti goes to the polls with President Ismail Omar Guelleh seeking a fifth term. We'll bring you all the latest at the top of the show. And Benin is gearing up for its presidential election on Sunday. We'll bring you all the latest on the final stages of campaigning and what's at stake for the West African nation. And electric scooters are taking Moroccan cities by storm. We'll take a closer look at the growing trend later on in the show. Thanks for watching. Now, it's a strategically important nation in the Horn of Africa, and on Friday, the 73-year-old president of Djibouti presented himself for re-election with just one challenger, but that opponent halted his campaign early on, saying he feared for his safety. Critics call Ismail Omar Guelleh a heavy-handed dictator. Others see Djibouti's president as having spearheaded the country's development in relative stability. Bastien Renouy is in Djibouti for France 24. He sent us this update a little earlier.
There was no suspense in this presidential election here in Djibouti. President Ismail Omar Guelleh was facing no real opposition. The only independent candidate is a man that is mostly unknown by the population and that didn't really campaign. So President Ismail Omar Guelleh is quite sure that he will win this election, but there is still one goal for the government and for the coalition. Listen to the Prime Minister.
Polls all said turnout would be very low. Well, first we need to beat this abstention and then put in place the candidate's program.
For now, it's impossible to say if there was a large turnout nationwide, but in this polling station in Djibouti city, there was less than 50% of the people registered who came to cast their ballots. For months, the opposition has called for a boycott of the election, a strategy that was criticized by the government.
L'opposition va toujours critiquer.
The opposition will always criticize. But this will not prevent us from moving forward toward development. And let me tell the opposition, which spends its time on social media is not how you run a country.
Opposition leaders I talked to say that their strategy was a success. According to them, nationwide, the turnout was very low, so they're claiming a victory. Now they have to wait for the official announcement of the result of this presidential election.
Bastien Renouy there. Now to Benin next, where voters will go to the polls this Sunday. The incumbent President Patrice Talon is running again after taking office in 2016. Despite the impact of the COVID-19 crisis, including the closure of its significant border with Nigeria, Benin's economy continued to grow over the past 12 months, with the second highest rates of growth in sub-Saharan Africa. Emmanuel Soji, Raphael Entale and Emmanuel Londet sent us this report.
In the Colline district in the centre of Benin, the private sector is back in the race to produce cotton, known as the country's white gold, after the government stopped controlling the industry. As a result, the number of producers in Savalou has doubled. According to figures from the local union of village cooperatives, there are 6,500 cotton producers today.
Avant, vous vendez le coton, c'est 3 voire 6 mois. On attend même l'argent jusqu'à la nouvelle campagne. Mais aujourd'hui, vous vendez 5 jours après le ramassage, vous êtes rentré en possession de votre argent.
As soon as he was elected president, former businessman Patrice Talon, who made his fortune in cotton, privatised the sector. 2 years later, the cotton industry witnessed record harvests, placing Benin as the leading cotton producer in West Africa.
Aujourd'hui, quand tu vends ton coton, tu as l'argent, tu paies la scolarité de tes enfants, on arrive à construire là où on va dormir.
In West Africa, Benin devotes the largest share of its GDP to domestic investments across many of the country's industries, such as energy, roads and access to water.
Au démarrage de ce quinquennat, que 2 personnes sur 5 avaient accès à l'eau potable globalement. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes à 70% de taux de couverture du pays.
But for some in the opposition, these massive investments don't impact the purchasing power of the average household.
Ce qui nous intéresse, quelle que soit la politique que le gouvernement fait, il faut que ce soit l'homme au cœur. Mais là, rien du tout. Rien du tout alors. C'est la pression fiscale est trop forte et l'inflation.
The latest World Bank report highlights an issue linked to wealth distribution in the country. The economic situation doesn't favour the most vulnerable.
Le président actuel qui est là, qui dit que tout va bien. Normalement, si tout va bien, on doit sentir ça. L'argent va descendre de haut jusqu'en bas. Aujourd'hui, l'argent est pris en otage.
Formerly ranked as a low-income country by the World Bank, Benin moved up to the group of middle-income countries last year, next to Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal for the first time.
Now, it's a season of elections in Africa. Sunday will also see Chad voting in its presidential election. Idriss Déby has been in power since 1990. He's seeking a sixth term. The main opposition leaders are boycotting the poll. Nicolas Germain reports.
In the streets of N'Djamena, there is little enthusiasm for Sunday's presidential election. The incumbent, Idriss Déby, has been in power for 3 decades and he's seeking a sixth term. According to the UN, Chad is one of the 3 least developed countries in the world. The World Bank estimates that 42% of the population lives below the poverty line.
Ce que nous voulons, tu vois, nos enfants, les jeunes sont vraiment en chômage. C'est ça que nous voulons simplement. On veut la paix, on veut que les choses se passent dans le bon ordre.
The main opposition leaders are boycotting the polls.
Les élections chez moi, c'est un non-événement parce que vous savez ce que nous vivons aujourd'hui. Ce n'est pas du tout à la hauteur de la vie des Tchadiens avec toutes les richesses que nous possédons, qui nous donnent à travers le sous-sol. Je pense notamment au pétrole. Donc le Tchadien devrait vivre mieux.
Many young voters feel disillusioned with the political system.
Je n'irai pas voter parce que c'est déjà une élection jouée à l'avance. On connaît déjà les résultats, c'est juste des théâtres pour animer un peu la galerie politique.
This week, Déby said he knew in advance he was going to win. Western powers are lenient with him as the Chadian army is active in the struggle against jihadists in the Sahel region. For months now, opposition demonstrations have been violently repressed. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres criticized the use of force in the Chadian electoral process.
Now, African heads of state in Commonwealth countries and elsewhere have been taking to social media to send their condolences after the death of Britain's Prince Philip. Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa sent his condolences to the people of the United Kingdom and the royal family. In Tanzania, the new president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, sent her sympathies, saying Tanzanians are with Britons during a difficult time of loss and mourning. Somalia's president said Prince Philip led an extraordinary life of service and noted his huge impact on British society. And the president of the Maldives, Ibrahim Mohamed Solih, also took to Twitter sending his condolences, recalling the prince's visit to his country along with Queen Elizabeth back in 1972. May he rest in peace. Time now for some other news stories from across the continent. In Nigeria, gunmen killed 11 soldiers and an officer in the central state of Benue on Friday, this according to the army. The perpetrators have not yet been identified, but the region is affected by regular clashes between herders and farmers. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez is on a mini tour to 2 African states, Senegal and Angola. Angola's President João Lourenço welcomed Sanchez during his stop in Luanda on Thursday before holding talks with Senegal's Macky Sall in Dakar on Friday. Migration issues and trade are on the agenda. In Botswana, limited availability of vaccines has seen the health ministry restrict access to jabs to those over 75. The country received 24,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine on the 31st of March. That was the first batch of 100,000 doses expected through the COVAX Global Vaccine Initiative. Now, Morocco is amongst the first countries on the African continent to be hit by a new global trend, the electric scooter. In Casablanca, residents of all types are climbing aboard the vehicles to get around, and entrepreneurs are piling into the market. Nina Kozlowski, Jean-Marie Lemaire and Josh Vardy have this story.
In Casablanca, this entrepreneur got busy during the lockdown to launch a radical concept in Morocco, an electric scooter hire purchase business, an idea that's already been a hit with residents, particularly during the current crisis.
C'est beaucoup plus rassurant parce que j'ai pas à prendre les transports publics ni les taxis, voilà, et du coup je suis toute seule sur ma trottinette et donc je me sens vraiment en sécurité.
Electric scooter stations have now been set up across Morocco's economic capital, along with a maintenance and repair service for users. The man behind it says he's convinced that electric scooters are city vehicles of the future.
L'usage du thermique va être de plus en plus banni. Et donc, il faut favoriser ce type de mobilité qui va apporter moins d'encombrement, moins de pollution, moins de stress sur le stationnement, beaucoup plus de plaisir dans le transport.
This opinion is shared by the manager of high-tech gadgets who entered the scooter market 2 years ago.
Au tout début de notre aventure, on s'est dit qu'on aura du mal. Mais de fil en aiguille, on a vu que la trottinette en fait était très demandée. Et ici au Maroc, on voit que le marché est déjà en plein boom. On a pas mal d'infrastructures, donc il y a la liberté, on va dire, et la possibilité pour que les gens puissent circuler en trottinette électrique.
Like in many countries, however, there are no laws on the use of public space for electric scooters. Tightened rules could limit these companies' potential for growth.
All right, tonight's show was produced by Tatiana Reiter. Thanks to her, and thanks to you for watching. Good night.